Okay, so maybe you've recently started no contact with an avoidant partner and you're trying to understand what are they feeling emotionally at this time and are they even feeling anything at all? Well, there are actually 8 stages an avoidant tends to experience during no contact. And we're going to talk about how these stages impact completely how they feel about the relationship dynamic. And maybe if you found yourself being tempted to break no contact just to gain that little bit of certainty or clarity as to what is going on in their mind and give you relief, by watching this video, you won't have to do that. Because if you understand the stages an avoidant goes through during no contact, this will help you prevent from missing crucial moments for potential reconnection and also prevent you from misreading their actions that could lead to disappointment, unnecessary anxiety, or trying to get back together with somebody who may not be interested in that whatsoever. So my hope for you is that by the end of this video, you will have complete and total insight and clarity into the 8 stages that the dismissive avoidant experiences during no contact. You'll also have the ability to really understand what you should do and feel about this so that you can make sure you are entering into the best case scenario for yourself and your future love life and all relationships, whether it be with this particular avoidant or holding space for the right person to enter in the future. If you're new to this channel, my name is Thais Gibson. I am a coach, counselor, and author, as well as the founder of the Personal Development School. And I have been working in this field of relationships and attachment theory and dating for more than a decade with clients and through our different programs at PDS. If you're not familiar with attachment theory, it is the study of how your relationships as a child affect your adult romantic relationships. I'll put a little graph of it here, but let's dive in so you can really understand what to do with an avoidant during no contact. Now, I want to share a few things in here. Um, a couple things. I won't like lecture about this too much here, but I do think it's really important that if we are choosing to go no contact post breakup, we do it because we are actually in a place where we know this is what's best for us. I'm for no contact as a general rule, but specifically for the reason that it's like, hey, let me take space to just focus it on myself. Let me not get distracted. Let me have proper closure, proper boundaries. This will allow me the space I need to really focus on healing. Not every relationship is one size fits all. Sometimes people grieve and do the healing work while still in a relationship and they're moving on and, personally and emotionally, internally. There can be so many things that cause breakdowns of relationships, breakups. And what I really want to sort of like focus in on and during here is just what the dismissive avoidant is feeling once somebody goes no contact with them, because I want to shed some light on this for dismissive avoidance to recognize what stage they're in, and also for exits of dismissive avoidance to understand if you're going no contact and you're not seeming to get like the response you're looking for or things like this, there can be many reasons for why. And it's important to recognize, hey, do no contact for you, not to get something out of the other person. But anyways, we're going to do a whole series on this. So I hope you enjoy. And if you have questions about this stuff, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to add this stuff into the series or into my next batch of recording things going forward. So with all of that being said, the very first thing, and remember, some of these stages will depend a little bit where you start off based on like how long were you in the relationship, what is the attachment style that's going no contact with the dismissive avoidant post breakup, some of these things, but these tend to be the general path that gets followed. The first stage is the dismissive avoidant tends to feel relief at first. They tend to feel like, okay, I have space. And this generally happens for dismissive avoidance post breakup. They feel this like weight lifted off their shoulders, like, okay, these problems, the chaos I couldn't solve, the things that weren't going right in relationship, they see those things removed. And this largely has to do with the fact that dismissive avoidants are in their feelings minus their fears. And so dismissive avoidants tend to like have their feelings, but then the more that like neurochemical cocktail of like attraction, bonding, well-being, all these things that happen with phenylethylamine, oxytocin, serotonin, all these things when we get into relationship with somebody, they start to subside and fade away. And then all of a sudden, a lot of these fears, when a DA is feeling more vulnerable and more connected to somebody, tend to kind of like come up more strongly. And so they sort of get relief from the fear when that space is gone or that space is there and that person sort of a step back and gone. And so originally they have that sort of relief. Now this doesn't last for that long. And eventually they start to notice stage 2, which is this change in a pattern. And they start to become curious and they start to wonder a little bit. And then they go into stage 3, which is the fear of missing the person. They start missing the person a little bit. They have the space now. Their fears have not been online for quite some time because there's no like request for vulnerability, need to open up, pressure to really bond and connect, the fear of like the impending doom that often comes with that because of the DA's programs at the subconscious level of mind. All these things have space. So now, whatever like feelings were there, those start to come back online. But then we go into the next stage, which is the stage where the dismissive avoidant usually pushes the feelings back down and compartmentalizes them. And dismissive avoidants are very skilled at this. This is part of how they learn to like adapt, survive. But it's so important for dismissive avoidants to learn how to see their feelings as feedback, work through what their feelings are communicating to them about their unmet needs or the painful stories they're telling themselves, and do that inner work to create actual relief instead of just repression. And there's a huge difference for how it impacts us long term, how we carry things as potential baggage into future relationships or not, and just the overall feeling of well-being we can feel when we do that inner work and we actually like relieve a lot of these things from our subconscious mind. Now, dismissive avoidance seem like it's parked there and they feel better. And so much of how they tend to deal with breakups is like, I will do whatever I can to not feel. And that means I don't want a catalyst for anybody. Like if I miss somebody and I'm thinking of texting them and going towards them, I don't want them to hurt me again. I don't want to feel vulnerable again. I don't want to open myself up again. I assume the worst a little bit. And that's how DAs tend to sort of react quite a bit. And so they tend to like really put that barrier up accordingly. So these are really important things to pay attention to. I'm going to go through the next stages, but also if you are a dismissive avoidant and you are going through a breakup or you're a loved one of a dismissive avoidant, you can check out our How to Heal from a Breakup course for free for 7 days. We talk about no contact, the stages of no contact, how it affects people differently, all this stuff in so much detail, as well as exactly the steps and tools you need to shorten the grieving time that's there post breakup. So you can feel more like yourself and more whole and more relieved, deeply, and like a greater sense of well-being post breakup a lot more quickly than you would otherwise. So you can check it out for free for 7 days in the link below. Now, once we see this like pushing down, like, okay, I'm now pushing down and compartmentalizing, there tends to be this space that arises to go back more into their feelings. And this is the stage for the DA that's like a little bit of a war with themselves. It's subtle, it's not something that's strong, but oftentimes, like the dismissive avoidant goes through this internal battle of like feeling something a little bit and then trying to push it away, feeling something, trying to push it away. And they often push it away through creature comforts and coping mechanisms. And in this stage, they tend to really have a lot more of those creature comforts and coping mechanisms become more prevalent. And so, like, let's say, for example, it's like eating junk food or like watching television or playing video games or whatever it is that like gives the DA that sense of comfort and security and like escapism. You'll usually see in the stage of no contact post breakup, like a lot of these coping mechanisms become more pronounced. They play video games more, they eat more junk food, they whatever it might be, watch more television, like these sorts of dynamics tend to grow. And then our next stage is dismissive avoidants tend to sort of grapple with regret a little bit and can feel sort of like, I wish I'd said this or I wish I did this. And a lot of people will be like, no, DAs don't do that, but they do a lot of the time. Not always. Sometimes they'll just push further down and compartmentalize more and escape more. But it is something that I've seen a lot of DAs sort of reflect upon to a small degree and for periods of time. Then we get into the stage where if there hasn't been some kind of like internal work and improvement, I actually do see a lot of dismissive avoidance, especially if it was a longer relationship, a more meaningful relationship. And especially if they derive like a sense of comfort and security from that relationship, they can often feel quite hurt, alone, and disconnected in this stage. And this tends to be the most difficult stage for the DA, where it's like there's been enough space and time to really like feel and then to really like accept, hey, this is gone. And then to feel like, hey, my creature comforts, I've tried to go in this direction to heal and feel better, but it's not really working. And then it's sort of like there's nowhere to go. And some of that hurt tends to come up a little more strongly. And then we'll often see the last sort of stage is to go back into a greater state of numbness over time. But usually it's after quite a while of feeling a certain degree of pain. Now, in a best case scenario, we have a DA like digging into their feelings, working through things, doing reprogramming work, doing healing work, having any conversations to make amends as needed, although we tend to not really address that too often, but really doing the subconscious reprogramming of work around traits, needs, stories we're telling ourselves, and really perception balancing at the subconscious level to like create relief. But if not, that tends to be sort of the trajectory that the DA goes about, like that hurt, that like pain. There tends to be a vulnerability stage of feeling all that emotion to a certain degree. And then like something to, really supersede that over time to numb it more as that pain starts to, we adapt to pain. That tends to be sort of how we all are, but dismissive avoidants tend to become more adept at that over time. And especially after they've sort of sat in that for a period of time as well. I have exciting news to share with you today, and it is that to celebrate the Personal Development School's 5-year anniversary, we are offering 40% off of your first month to our all access pass. Plus, you can enjoy 20% off of my newest book called Learning Love, both of which are all about how to change your attachment style to become securely attached. So, whether you are looking to improve your relationships, personally grow, or just develop a lot of emotional mastery over the way that you feel, now is the perfect time to start. But hurry because this offer won't last long. So, head over to the link below to join today. So these are major stages post breakup, especially during no contact. Let me know if you have other questions in the comments below about this, about breakup stages in general. I'll make future videos about them. I know we get a lot of questions about this inside PDS. So that is it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next video.